man, this one's looks like doo-doo. Today, I'm going to be looking at some of my art from 2020. I went through and collected my best works and some interesting things that I was doing back then. So without further ado, let's look at the art that I've made. Art review! Okay, this is one of my first 2020, one of my earliest ones from 2020. This was after I was learning about weather and how you can change things up. I think I only did like practice doing snow, and this was kind of like a blizzard that was happening in like a kind of a early spring time frame. I would say this one is pretty good. There was multiple versions of this. I might pull that up, but I think I'm just going to leave it as this. I would say the weather's good. The composition's fine. The colors are not great, especially if you saw the other versions of it. It was way too like saturated in blue, kind of like a teal color for the environment. But once I painted over the weather, it made it look better. Something else that I was doing was something called color keys, where I would paint out different colors over the same environment, and maybe I change up the environment a little bit and just add a variety to it, just to kind of iterate and come up with ideas early. And I really should be doing more of this in my artwork nowadays, but usually I just end up finding one composition and then I go with a thing that I like. This is a really good exercise to do if you're trying to come up with different moods and ideas for things. Usually I know kind of what I want to go for, but if you can like maybe push yourself to try something a little different, you will learn a lot. And this is the one that you end up going with. And I do have this painting on here, and we'll look at that next. I think there was just a nice variety of color here. This one, I kind of liked how it was completely different. The colors are good. I kind of like the environment idea here, but this one was the winner. Okay, and this is what it ended up as. This was after several iterations, probably 13 to 15 hours on it, and nowadays I could paint this in a half hour. Okay, maybe not quite a half hour, an hour. I could do this in an hour. This was one of the paintings that I considered, the first painting that I considered done, and one that I was actually proud of for finishing. I think it holds up pretty well. Some of the problems that I had with this painting in particular, I think I used the mixer brush way too much, and that was something that I used a ton of when I was first starting out. I thought that would give you a good color variation, and texture could really make the paintings pop. And texture is helpful, but it's probably the least important thing in a painting. It's that extra little detail at the end that you really want. I like these leaves here, that they kind of flow. They give a sense of movement to it, and it really pulls you into the painting. So I think that's a nice little foreground element. The foliage on the trees look a little too solid, but then the edges look a little too soft on everything. This is one of my best paintings at that point. So I used too much mixer brush. Also, the perspective's a little off on this pond here. But overall, I still think it's a pretty decent painting. And I did repaint this one a couple years ago to see how much of a difference I have improved or approach I would take. And I like the new one a lot better. I think this one still has its charm to it. It does give it kind of a watercolor look. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, this one was the next one that I was going to try and finish up or follow up after the other painting. And man, this one looks like doo-doo. The rocks are kind of all over the place in their shapes and sizes. The tree, I think I tried to photo bash on tree bark shape, but it just ended up looking muddy and a big mess. The perspective's not terrible. It's not terrible. I still feel like this tree, I should be looking up, and I should see more of a darker side to it here. And then I have like this volcano and like a floating island in the background. It's okay. I think what I was trying to do is just cover up interesting things happening in the back. But the thing that's happening in the back is not that interesting. And the thing that's covering up is occupying more of the space. And we're only looking at this tree, which is actually the worst part of the painting. So compositionally, I'm drawing the eye to the worst part of the painting. These were color keys that I was doing for another painting. And honestly, I'm not a fan of this composition as it is right now. I really think it would be better if I just got rid of this random spike coming out. And I just left like a sunset with like a foreground element looking over. And I think that would make a stronger composition. I know I'm not having as much overlap. Okay, this is what the painting ended up like, which is way different than what it started out as. Okay, I want to show more of the process of this one. So this is from those color keys that we just looked at. I'm just going to go through some of these pictures. So this is what I ended up with for my initial pass through for it. And honestly, the color keys look better than this. That is a bad thing. This greenish look, I think I did a study based on these rocks over here, which just look like dog poop. I changed the color up a little bit. Maybe this was the new version of it. Painted over one of the color keys backgrounds, kind of a greenish color, almost post-apocalyptic. Then I get rid of that. Okay, then I do photo bashing, which is not helping the painting. I think it's just making it look worse. I really need to just focus on getting a clear values grouping. And I did practice doing that before doing this, so I should know better. So photo bashing I thought would fix the problems, but no, it made it worse. And I'm also noticing there's a tangent here where these two pieces touch, basically. So moving on, I ended up getting the composition fixed a little bit. More photo bashing, which isn't really helping me that much. Redesigned the tower is something different, but the composition looks way better here. I think I got some feedback on it from somebody when I was asking for some help. Still, these rocks look like garbage and they could be cleaned up. And maybe even just completely removed and go back to what I had to begin with. A few more iterations, figure in there, and then here's the final version of it, which is, I think I like some of the ideas. I did clean up the rocks. They do look cleaner and neater. And I think this was my next one that I considered done. Because I spent a lot of time on this, even though I wasted a lot of time. But sometimes you just gotta waste time on a painting to get through it and then learn, like, okay, I wasted my time with doing photo bashing. And I think I could go back and do photo bashing, but it just needs a little more, you need to be more specific and have a better plan with it. Okay, I like the colors in this one a lot. That's the biggest thing going for this. Again, my composition's pretty terrible, because I think at the time I learned the idea of like, oh, you need to block your points of interest to make it seem more interesting and want to draw you in. But when you make the thing way too detailed for you're trying to obscure some of it, it just looks really dumb and ruins the composition. Because now you're looking at this tree, not these kind of pillars in the background. The trees look okay too. They definitely look stiff, and I could have used some more reference or practice drawing some different trees or coming up with different tree ideas. Still way too much mixer brush, but I think if we forget about these trees, we just left this left one in, I think would be good enough. We could see these kind of interesting monolith shapes here, and this would just imply the other one. Atmosphere perspective is pretty decent. It gets lighter and lighter as you look towards the back of it, so that's good. I like this one, even though there's jarring problems with it. I don't know if I shared this one anywhere or not. And I haven't been super consistent in 2020. Like, I started the year off strong. No, actually, I really didn't do much for the first like 2 or 3 months. Like I had a puppy and I had to take care of the puppy and help train it. So I just couldn't work on my art for very much. And pretty much all the stuff that I worked on so far, I started in March. Painting that, again, the mixer brush. Wow, it had its grip on me. I barely use the mixer brush nowadays. I did thumbnails for this, and I painted kind of the swamp looking thing. Okay, it's not a good painting, but the one thing that I really like about this is the lighting here, where I am kind of playing with how fog works and how light kind of gets diffused throughout it, almost like looking at a lampshade. So I'm implying there's like a lantern here. It's kind of, I think that's really strong composition overall, because I'm just being drawn to this point and the light is illuminated around it. So that's something why I wanted to show this one. Okay, so here's a study, I think. I really don't know. I'm just going to say it's a study. Again, the mixer brush. What the heck is wrong with me? That's my biggest problem. Everything just looks too fuzzy and blurry. There's not enough variation in the edges. Okay, so here's another sketch. I think I was trying to finish this one. But anyways, I was applying some of those mountains that I did that study of to this one, I'm pretty sure. Kind of going for like a halo inspired, too much mixer brush. The composition's not bad, and I think the colors are okay. I like the mountains here. And then I do something different with this one, where I kind of photo bash in my own painting, where I put that study in here. And honestly, I think it looks worse just because it's not as cohesive. The trees look better in this one though. And it's flipped. Wow, I was terrible at art. What is happening here? I mean, floating islands are great and all, but man, do they look ugly. These ones could use with a little bit of atmosphere. There's a tangent here, yuck. They just look muddy and kind of a mess. Yeah, I don't like this one. It's okay. I like the idea of looking out over a mountain cliff. So I'm climbing up. But we just need a better, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. We just need something better. Here's another one. It's a throwback to one of my first YouTube videos where I was talking in it. And I was just talking through the process of this. All I was doing was I made a custom brush. I've lost that brush since now, which I'm kind of sad about. Where I would make a diamond shape and I kind of played around with settings. Put a bunch of different colors in it and just played with it. And I think this one's really cool, and I would like to maybe go back to something like this again. It's more graphic looking. It has a variety of colors. I think the colors are actually pretty good variation of it. The green probably doesn't matter that much. It probably could have just been gray. We have this red foreground with this kind of yellow background, and it's like brownish midground, which kind of brings the red and the yellow together. In my mind, I'm kind of thinking this is like almost like an alien hive of some sort or underground city. It really could be anything, up to the viewer's interpretation. But I like it, and I think this was my last painting I did of the year in 2020. This is when I got a new tablet. I think it had better sensitivity to the touch. Really felt a difference in the artwork, or how the brushes work, the pressure sensitivity. Maybe my settings weren't tuned very well, but I felt like I was getting more variation with the brush I was using. And around this time, I finally stopped using the mixer brush. It still has some soft edges to the brushes, because it has like a canvas texture to it, which I really like canvas texture. So that's why I use it. This is mostly just a sketch. I labeled it as a sketch. And I think it's one of my best things that I made in 2020. Even though it didn't take me very long to do. I still really like it. I think I was just chill when I was making it, if I can recall. And that's pretty much the artwork I've made back in 2020. There's a lot more things that I did. I did May Sketch a Day, which had obviously a sketch every day. I didn't show those in here, A couple of paintings were based on the Sketch-A-Day, but overall not too many. And just looking at this art really shows me how much of a difference like 6 years can make. I know that sounds like a lot, but there were times where I didn't make art for months at a time, and it wasn't as much. There's some years that were less than 2020. And even then, like, there were like times where it's been like 2 or 3 months apart from creating art, but I always come back to it. And I think that is my big takeaway that I want to tell you guys for watching, is to always come back. If you need a break for a minute, take a break. Sometimes taking a break for a little bit can be scary because, like, oh, what if I forget how to do it? What if I'm not as good when I come back? And you'll be a little rusty when you come back, but it's not too bad. You come back to it because you love doing it. Sometimes you come back to it because you want to just sharpen your skills and keep yourself at it, which is a good reason to do that too. End of the day, make art because you want to. So I hope you found this video interesting. I had fun going back and looking at my old art from 2020. And until next time, Dartagon out.